I think I managed to survive the great conditioning, the domestication and the sanitization that seems to happen as we move out of these wild, expressive creatures in our youth and get indoctrinated or educated and then go and get jobs and sign up for a beige existence. Yeah. Somehow creativity and self-expression, music, art, dance, theatre, poetry just held me and kept me alive.
This episode, we have I'm going to call him a dynamic firecracker. There's a lot of energy out of the gate, and I absorbed a lot of it. It's Mykel Dixon, and he is he's a good talker, and he was talking about good things: creativity, finding your passion, recovering our creative spark. It was really great. We did this via Riverside, remotely, me being here on Jinnabara country, the site of the Woodford Folk Festival, and he was in Geelong, down in Victoria, and he had a funny name for Geelong that I hadn't heard before. Yeah, it just tickled me. Anyway, it's a good yarn. Get ready to get motivated.
Mykel, how you going?
Harley, I am incredibly well, made better by the fact that I'm here with you.
Oh, well, that's a really lovely way to start. Shower me with praise. Where in this country are you?
I'm currently in Detroit, otherwise known as Geelong, about 50 minutes south of Melbourne.
I lived around that area for a very long time, and you are the first person to refer to G-Town as Detroit. That's great stuff. Are you a Geelong boy, born and bred, or you moved there because of the housing crisis?
Yeah, well, kind of. I was born in Adelaide. I lived in Port Lincoln and Port Augusta for a while.
Know them well?
Did high school in South Australia. Then I lived in Brisbane for a while. Then I went overseas for many years, came back, lived in Melbourne, overseas for many years, came back, lived in Melbourne, and then came down here about 6 years ago, prior to COVID and all of the madness. But yeah, we were meant to get to the surf coast, and we thought, well, I do a lot of travel, a lot of flights. So I thought, we'll go halfway and test it out. And then it's working. Quite like this little spot.
It's a great town, actually. It's got something in similarity with the area I'm in. We're just a little bit west of the Sunshine Coast. Sunshine Coast and Geelong are the two fastest growing cities in the country. So there you go.
And it could. I'm not going to say it's because we're living in them, but others might come to that conclusion themselves.
As soon as they heard that a Victorian, had moved to the Sunshine Coast, they're like, wow, no one's ever done that.
I heard that.
Let's go. Now, am I right in the fact that I've been given that you have not actually been to the Woodford Folk Festival before?
I haven't been to the Woodford Folk Festival, but I actually performed at the first ever, it was a Dreaming Festival back in 2000 and something. I think it was called the Dreaming Festival. It was like all of this, it was all of these Indigenous artists from Australia and all around the world that descended on that beautiful space and performed over 2 or 3 days. And it was quite a transformative experience for me, and I think everyone there. I don't think the festival continued, but it was a bit of a special time. But New Year's has always been, I'm always booked or full or this or that, and now with the family it's even trickier. So I just can't. This is going to be my gateway porthole, the line in the sand moment that gets me up to Woodford this year. How about that?
Well, as I say to people who are Woodford virgins, and when they arrive, I say, welcome to the addiction. So I would say in your future, this is where family Christmas holidays are spent. Yeah. What are we talking about? What's the size of the family?
2 boys and my wife and a dog that sleeps in between me and my wife every night with her head on the pillow, and it's outrageous.
Well, no more children. That's a positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say that as one of my children just walked into where I'm recording, but he is number 1, not number 4. What is it about creativity that you're, I'll put this word, obsessed with? As am I, by the way. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and for context, I've been talking about it to businesses and corporates and organizations all around the world the last 10 years. I never planned to do that and become a speaker, author, expert in such things. But I think I managed to survive the great conditioning, the domestication and the sanitization that seems to happen as we move out of these wild, expressive creatures in our youth and get indoctrinated or educated and then go and get jobs and sign up for a beige existence. Yeah. Somehow creativity and self-expression, music, art, dance, theatre, poetry just held me and kept me alive and was both the balm to deal with a world that didn't make sense to me, but also was the fuel to catapult me forward into other parts of life and career that I couldn't have imagined. And now, I mean, gosh, like I remember 5 or 6 years ago, pre-COVID, it was all, hey, you might want to check out or re-engage with or reawaken that innate creativity within you, because when these robots come, things are going to get heavy, things are going to get interesting. Everyone's like, oh yeah, maybe one day, that's nice to have. And then lo and behold, we have a global pandemic and then this, astonishing, accelerated, artificially intelligent laugh that now I think that it should be very clear to everyone listening that if you're not returning to and reawakening and reigniting that creative flame within you and bringing that into your work and life, you might be left behind.
Yeah. Well, do you think it's as big a threat as you've just played out? You think we're...
Yeah. I mean, I've managed to get out of my dark end of the world civilization collapse days. That was a good couple of years. I went way deep into climate and the geopolitical situation, and as many of us have, and many of us are still there, stuck in the doom scroll. But I think I came out of it. It might have helped that I got medicated. But either way, lots of sunshine and surfing and music got me back on track. But I do think we're up for a pretty wild disruption. I don't think that it's... I mean, I take everything that a tech company says with bags of salt, and but I just think that we have this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy of wanting to, get back to small communities and small little pockets of humans creating magical things and being much more attuned to nature. And so that potentially means it might be a bit of a dicey 10, 15, 30 years that before we return to that, which, a big part of that will be this radical acceleration of AI, because I think it really, I work with lots of white collar businesses and it's going to do everything that 70-80% of people are currently doing. Not to say it'll do it better, and from what I've learned from organizations, and I can speak boldly here, I think, with your community and this sense of and the energy that swirls around Woodfordia.
Yes, Woodfordia.
Is they don't have the best interests of humanity at heart. If they can find a way to make it cheaper and ship it faster, and that means getting rid of 80% of their workforce, they'll do it overnight and they won't even blink at it.
Yeah, I don't want to bring the tone down and with a spice of negativity, but I'm just being honest. I hear what you're saying and I believe it and I've lived it. But I have this overwhelming sense of nihilism, and it's how do we do it? Because there's some practicalities of life that you've got to eat. You need shelter. You need warmth and all of those things. And it seems harder and harder to be able to do that and be creative and free-spirited in being able to pursue these things that is really integral to being human. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing to do. And I do a lot of it. I tinker around in my shed. It's my happy place. I do adult colouring in, as I've called it. But that, from my perspective, what you're talking about is going to take really courageous, forward-thinking policy change, 100-year plan kind of stuff. And I don't see that happening? How do we achieve it without it? How do we take that?
This is such a beautiful question and a beautiful conversation to dive into. And it might, I hope we traverse into many different parts and don't rush along it. But what I've seen, 10 years, when I first got into speak, so I was a muso for many years, performing, touring, writing, trying to write original music and be a rock star and do all that stuff. I'd run festivals, do events. It was all about that. Traveled a lot, spent a lot of time overseas, bought a beach bar in Cambodia, lived in the jungle for another year alone in a geodesic dome with my 2 dogs, writing a musical. So I've lived the bohemian, eccentric, artistic life. And it's where I got all of the skills that set me up to find some semblance of success in the business world, in, you could say, peak capitalism, consumerist society, of which I knew nothing about. And when I went into these businesses to begin with, I was so green, man. I didn't even know what HR meant for the first couple of years. And yet these are the people that I was selling to or trying to sell to. And when I started, I would talk about artisan thinking. I would say, hey, we can't, everyone's talking about design thinking. No one's thinking about the human that's expressing themselves into that design, like an artisan. And that's what we relate to. And all this stuff was getting lost. And I had to learn that world and understand what the vast majority of people are in. And they are craving the arts. They are craving creativity. They are craving that connection to who they are and to their becoming and how they can express themselves in the world more than ever before. And they know on some deep level as well that all of the leadership training and all the capability uplift and all the big buzzword stuff that makes other people feel dumb when they hear it, but actually doesn't mean anything at all, they know that that's not working. They've invested so heavily over the last 30, 40 years, it's done nothing to move the needle. And yet all of these people that maybe live on the fringes, people like your listeners, people like you and I, that think, but how? I've got to make a crust. How? I don't understand that world. Why can't we just do this other cool stuff? Don't they get it? This might be hard to hear for some that are stuck in a difficult place, but this is literally the time for the people that have existed on the fringes and have retained that sense of connection to something more sacred and more alive than those that gave themselves to a system and dulled and numbed and suppressed that wild spirit within them. And that doesn't mean that, we then take that capitalist lens and go, right, how do we commercialize creativity?
Yes,
how do we do it? But it's at a simplest level now, how we can, provide an alternative to this nihilistic, self-fulfilling, oh my God, a dystopian future that we're bombarded with every day is to fully own and go deeper into, this stuff matters and it's never been more vital and relevant for others, even if they don't understand or appreciate it just yet. It's like we're at the gates of Mordor, or it's the darkest hour of night comes just before dawn. We're right at this moment where it's like, but why would I do anything creative? I'm never going to get in the housing market. Block of cheese is $12 now. What the F happened there?
Yeah.
How, like, I got to go and sell my soul. Like everyone else has done it. They own 6 houses and that guy's a fuckwit, whatever.
I'm glad you said the word. I was going to say, you don't have to say it. Like if I let my children swear, you can definitely swear on this podcast. I think you swear a lot around the house when your toddler trips and goes, for fuck's sake. So,
oh God,
you find them
tell me about it.
And actually, speaking of children, I live in this space so much because of how many children I have. I was fortunate enough to be brought up in a creative household where creativity was really paramount and promoted, and space was created for that. And what I'm constantly fighting against now is the amount of tech that will soothe my children's boredom.
Yeah.
And just about all of my childhood was plagued by boredom.
Yeah.
And boredom made me make things and find things and create. And so I can do the best I can with just my little group. But if the family that's next door or the family that's at school, and by the way, all my kids go to Steiner, which is also their sort of ethos of, child-led learning and that creative. But point being, like, if we kind of need everyone to get on board with it, because that little trickle feed of the drug, of the pacifier, really breaks that boredom. And I think this generation of tech addicted kids is a big danger to what you're talking about, to what we need to get back to.
100%. And even before this, let's say 10 years ago or 7 or 8 years ago, where it was starting to be intense, but not as intense as it was now, I would talk about, all these different studies that were done and share these incredible short films and create these sessions for adults where they would become so present to what happened along the way and how they stifled or how they set aside that creative spark within them, how they sold out, that their wild spirit. And the first thing they would do, instead of going, well, how do I return to that? They would rush to the stage after a session and say, I need to know, how do I stop my kids from turning into me?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a beautiful sentiment. And there's definitely an urgency around that. And I don't want to I'm not here to be an expert on that. But my response always was, well, you've got to role model that. Like, you've got to reclaim and reawaken that creative spirit in you, because I swear around the house too. It's no surprise my kids swear. Yeah. Where did they learn that? If you're there drowning in emails and trying to get everyone out the door on time, and then you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix, scrolling your phone, trying to blah, 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 your kids are watching that. And it's like, you don't have to be an artist, or you don't have to be this eccentric kind of conscious, such an amazing spirit and parent that just wants to love their children. Like, we went to a super woke school for the first few years. It didn't work out. It was kind of it was nepotism, and there was just kind of layers of drama and context, and we had to get out of there.
Sure.
And then went to, a public school, and then that was cool. But then that also started going a bit sideways because of tech. They made us get an iPad for our kid, and we were like, no. Yeah. And then after 6 months, we went, you know what, we don't want a fucking iPad, so we're leaving. And but I think that there's a beautiful frame in this, like, and I don't want to cheapen it by saying it's glass half full or glass half empty. It's this mindset, man. But you can be like, oh, great, that's another thing on my task list, another thing I have to be responsible. Now I have to be a creative parent. Oh my God, now. Or you can be like, man, I get to, like, there's no better impulse or invitation or fire to be lit under a burning platform than the best way I can set my kids up for the future is if I reclaim my creativity.
Yeah. Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want that?
I'm in danger of turning this back into an old podcast I used to do about parenting. But that is, that's the great challenge, because actually all I want to do is be creative with my children in a space where you can just allow whatever's going to happen. There's no structure to the day. You want to do that now? Sure, we'll build a cubby house. Yeah, I know how to make rockets. Yes, let's go fishing. But then there's a practicality to life, as I've already brought up, that you're like, well, this has to happen too. So we're talking something as boring as, and this makes me sick, scheduling in creativity, because that's a challenge too. That's not how creativity works. In my own art practice, it doesn't anyway.
Well, let's go back even beyond. We're getting into the nuance of language. Let's just take creativity off the table as this specific, segregated, be-all and end-all thing, or some particular skill set or mindset. And let's just talk about human aliveness. Let's talk about nature and the flow of existence, a river moving through the landscape, bringing nutrients, weather moving through the sky. Let's just talk about this sense of vitality and beauty and regeneration.
All right, hippie.
That is creativity, Like that is this life force that is constantly on the move, not hurried, not rushed, not trying to produce more and grow infinitely and, improve profit margins or any of that stuff, not trying to tick a box, not trying to be perfect and so that you can arrive at some far off destination and say, I did it, I achieved, I attained, I whatever else. But to be fully present, to be fully alive, to be vital and abundant and in flow with the universe. That, when tying this back to a parenting conversation, or we got to get out the door. Yeah, okay, they're messing around building with block steel, Lego. Cool, guys, we're going to be late again if we don't get in. We can still. That doesn't mean right. Put aside that creativity now, and now we need to go and do serious things. It's like, hey guys, we just got to get out the door. You keep bringing that vibe, like keep bringing the aliveness. But yeah, we got to get out the door. It's not to see life in boxes and not to see life in, let's schedule creativity, or creativity is separate from other things. Is to see creativity as the essential building blocks or the impulse that runs through our day, our night, our week, our month, just this through every single moment that we have on this planet.
Yeah. And that's a real commitment for people to do on an individual level. I'm committed to it. Like I've drunk the Kool-Aid. You don't have to convince me.
No, I know. It's a commitment if you see it as something that's outside of yourself. If we see creativity as something that you need to do or something that you need to become, then that feels like hard work. It's something to commit to. If you see creativity as something you already are and have to remember and have to allow, then you don't have to do anything. You can literally just go, oh yeah, I'm creative right now. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You are anyway. Your brain's making all these incredible choices. Your senses are processing the world well before your brain makes those choices anyway. You're so attuned to existence. It's just that we've been, conditioned and we've forgotten all of those wonderful, natural, innate ways of being. And that's the magic of the time we're in, is that we get to return to that now. So it's less about becoming and more about remembering.
Yeah. Remember, I get the great fortune of watching children try and figure things out. My second son made a possum trap the other day. It's dog shit. It will catch nothing. In fact, at one point, it almost caught him. He went into the cage and the door shut. He's like, "Dad, help!" I'm like, "Oh well, yeah, you're gonna learn." But it kind of, as he was doing it, because he was just having fun, figuring out how the rope worked and how the cage worked. I then was like, I've got a moment here. And I just went and made a bespoke joint holder. So
Love it.
Which was fun. Yeah.
Love it.
And there's a purpose to it. It's nice to have it, but it was actually just to play.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that we're out to transcend and out to, to step over again, is that create outcomes. It's just one part of it. You've got an intention for creating something, great. But that process, the play, the journey to, like our culture, we know this, we can rant on this all day. It's all about production. It's all about outcomes. It's all about getting somewhere. It's all about the finished thing.
Yeah.
But we're robbing ourselves so much of, where is it that you're trying to get to? Oh, I need to get this thing done. Okay, great. So you got it done. Now what? Well, then I need to do another one. Okay, but now what? Well, what about if you just fully embodied that journey? If that was also if our culture valued the journey of making something as much as what is being made, and if our culture valued the maker just as much as the journey of making something and what is made, I think we would have a very different experience on Earth.
I totally agree. Yes.
Stop agreeing with me.
I'm an agreeable guy on this subject. I'll fight you on other things. Bring up something I don't agree with. I had another sort of personal experience of creating. It was out of necessity. I do a lot of my creating out of necessity. So I need a thing. I don't want to buy it. I want to make it. Being broke kind of helps, to be honest with you. When you're broke, you're like, well, I better figure that shit out. I had to go and do that. And I made a cart for pulling kids around, primarily this festival. I'm now on to 5.0. And I'm very excited to show you it. I'm very proud of the latest. It's 3 levels. The top is a baby change table and storage area. It has a removable hammock that I made out of macrame, and then the bottom level. And my dad saw it, and he goes, "You need to market that." And I went, "Why couldn't I just make it and just have it? I don't want to sell this. I'll give the plans away for free, and people can go and figure out how to make it themselves."
I like where you're going. This is it's a murky terrain where, what are we making things for? And as we can see, well, let's think about music, the tragedy of so many talented musicians right now that have reduced their musicianship, their artistry into creating 30-second solos for Instagram. And they haven't written a full 4.5-minute song, let alone a double album in 15 years. It's like, why do that? I'm not going to get engagement. I release singles, or I release 30-second vibes that might go viral on TikTok. And it's what a time to be alive. This is peak capitalism, man. This is what it looks and feels like.
Yeah, but I'm being forced to do the same thing, because that's what the machine responds to. And so if I'm putting a clip of my stand-up, and I'm primarily a storyteller, my stories, a short story is 3 minutes. Well, that's too long for Instagram or any of those platforms. And you're cutting shit down. And then you wonder why, when you're in front of an audience, they won't sit still for the full 10-minute story. And
you know what? I feel like, though, we're gonna reach this point, and maybe not everyone, but the pendulum will swing back. I think it already is. I think there's lots of people that have jumped off socials, but I think with this AI wave, everyone's going to realize pretty quickly, my brain's going to mush. I've outsourced my edge. I've outsourced my originality to this thing. And even when I thought I was sounding really cool and creative, I kind of just sound like everyone else now. And I reckon there'll be a return, and people will be craving festivals, experiences, communities, just like Woodford. They'll be craving, in-person moments, that collective effervescence that arises. They'll be craving long-form stories, myths. We love series over movies these days. I think that and people love long podcasts. It's all kind of contextual and it's nuanced and stuff like that. But I've come out of my doom, and I've got a new sense of the responsibility that creatives have. You know what? This is interesting. I'm just reflecting on this right now. One thing that held me back when I kind of made my way into this, in this other terrain, which was almost the enemy for many years. I'm writing songs about bringing down the system, and then I go and start working within it, even though my intent was to help these people shift the way they see the world, the way they be in the world, shift the organization, rah, rah, rah. It was still like, wow, I'm in the belly of the beast now. But I remember when I would see others, maybe I'm harping on about something, and then I would see something start to take on a bit of a trend, or like creativity starts getting seen or valued, or just a touch, or someone else comes along and uses music in a conference or whatever. And I felt almost like this not a jealousy, but it was like a spite in like, well, I've been talking about this for years. And what about all of us creatives and artists that did this for no money? And now you're coming along and making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's not even that good. And because look, what about all, like, there was just this, it's almost like, I've been fucking doing this. When I was studying jazz at uni and I was playing for $50, or you play for free beers, or like for years dragging PAs.
I'm still doing that.
All of that shit. I said to a guy the other day, there's a guy, I do some events with him. He's based in Europe. He's got a big conference called the House of Beautiful Business. And we're talking about this stuff. And I said to him, basically now we're at a point where anything that is cool and anything that matters, no one pays for. which is like fascinating and terrifying. But that, you know, like, I want to encourage anyone that's listening that maybe feels that's like, I've given my life to something, to my craft, or I've tried to live, you know, a holistic or a sustainable or a conscious, you know, inclusive life. Fuck you, world. Don't you try and come and now namaste me and commercialize, you know, what I've been living. But again, it's this crucial point of, but we need that purity from you now. Like, we need you to be that more than ever, and provide like a living example of what's possible if you don't, you know, succumb to that stuff. So maybe you do just keep putting up 3-minute or 7-minute clips on Instagram, knowing that maybe the algorithm won't, you know, support it. But so fucking what? You do it because it honors the story or the gag or the whatever that you're telling. And the right people will find it and go, this is awesome, man. And if you're doing it because, you want to grow followers and kind of, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing it to resonate with people that are really wanting to hear it, I mean, just stay true to your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. I've got so there's a project I'm working on at the moment. I'm going to get to a question on this. I've got an old car. It needs some work. Volume of children that just won't stop eating. So I have to prioritise what I spend my money on. And so I'm just having to upskill and learn these things, and I'm having a great time doing it. I'm really enjoying it. But I came across a section of the car that needs to be welded. And I have done a tiny amount. I wasn't very good. And I just, as a joke in this little video I was sort of recording, I was like, if anyone out there knows how to weld, I could, in return, give you a story. I was just having a bit of a joke, but I do actually believe it. So the question is the destruction of community the greatest threat to creativity? Because everyone shouldn't know all things. And that should actually be a really fair transaction. You can do a little bit of this skill that you know, and then I will give you the skill that I know. But we don't do that. Very rarely do we do that at all.
What I'm hearing right now, what's coming to me is like, man, we've had the shit kicked out of us, haven't we? Like, anyone that has been creative, all I heard in what you shared was how I've spent so much of my life, which is it okay if we do this cool stuff? Like, asking someone, can I pay you with a story, is literally the coolest fucking thing ever. And more people should be doing it. And we should be walking into boardrooms and telling them, hey, man, you know what I just did? I need some work done on my car. And I just put it out there. Would someone, do it for a story? And someone said yes. And this is the power of humanity. This is the speed and precision of how we can make things happen if we just own it and express ourselves in love and inclusion and beauty and whatever else. And it's like this they mystify us, and they take the confidence out of us with fancy words and stats and blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to get into conspiracy stuff or anything, but we really need to remind one another. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's do it. We need to support one another. And that's really what I see my role. When I started going into working with these organizations, the more I learned about that world, the more compelled I felt to help my fellow artists, musos, dancers, poets, theatre groups find ways to own their power and own the extraordinary gifts and value that they bring to the world, because it is vital. And what stops us so much of the time is, how many times have we had conversations? I just don't get it, man. I wish I could do that. I'm just not good at selling. I'm just not good at marketing myself. It feels cringy. Or I'm just not good at this. Why can't they just, rah, 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 rah. I get all that.
100 times. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have said it 150,000 times.
Yeah.
It's not. So I win.
Good on you, mate. All right.
How fucking good am I?
You're shitter than I am.
Yeah, that's right. I have a less of opinion of myself than you do of yourself. But this, we've just been crushed. We've been told that what we do doesn't matter. And this is not just personally, but anytime we see a busker outside of Coles, that is signaling that we don't value art and expression and creativity enough to put it on the fucking main stage. I'm not huge into sport and stuff, but I've got a few friends that used to play AFL, so I'm around it occasionally. And I turned on normal TV the other night, and because I don't normally watch normal TV.
Vintage retro.
There's about 900 shows about AFL on TV at the moment.
Yeah,
it's like if we as a culture, talked about, valued, put sponsorship dollars behind, invested in policy decisions, blah, 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 arts, humanities, theatres, rah, 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 we would be such... The arts and creativity and all this stuff is how we make sense of the world. It's how we find meaning, and meaning then shapes our behaviour. Behaviours then shape the outcomes that we get in return. We are in a crisis of meaning because we've completely devalued the one place where we go to make meaning and to find meaning.
And the irony is that the arts industry as a collective earns more money annually than the AFL. But we get less support. And when COVID happened, in fact, I put this question to Tony Burke, the arts minister. There was just no support. They talked about it. Right. They said there was, but I tell you what, the hoops you had to jump through to try and get a payday to prove that you didn't do gigs, and yet they value you when it's tax time. They're like, what did you earn? We want that bit, and that can be a challenge.
That's right. And then when there's a crisis, well, let's do a concert.
Yeah,
we'll get all the... I've been involved in many events where myself or other artists have been brought in to do stuff, but the tech team's still being paid. The people selling water still being paid. Everyone's still getting paid, except the whole reason that the people are going.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
And I do think that there's... Yeah, this is the big one of the 17,000 big crises that we're facing, which brings me back to this point, which I'll keep hammering home, whether your fabulous listeners like it or not, or whether they're completely annoyed with what I'm saying. But we need to remind each other that we matter. And it doesn't need to be commercially successful. You don't need to have 100,000 followers. We just need to embody this way of being more than ever. Because, I can tell you from my lived experience working with executives, this is not a flex, but from the Googles and the fucking YouTubes and the big SAPs and Schneider Electrics and all of these whatevers, right? All the big corporates, your Dulux and your Optus and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They're miserable.
Yeah.
They've got all the money in the world. They've hit all the targets. They've got this socially acceptable level of success. And they would trade it all. After 2 bottles of wine, they'll say this on an offsite, mate, I'd trade it all to have never given up the guitar that I used to play. Man. To see you guys up there, oh man, I just missed that. I haven't felt this in 20 years. I can't remember the last time I felt alive. I'm on my 3rd marriage. I got 6 investment properties in Portsea. I'm blah, 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 blah. And they are so lost and lonely, and then they're the ones making the decisions. And so again, I underline how important it is. And if I can as well, just on my rave,
go for it.
I will say though, to all of us that live an alternative lifestyle and a much more and are living aligned with our values of peace, love, harmony. Let's all work together and have a radical planet and just live it basically Woodford 12 months of the year instead of 1 week a year.
Yeah.
Because why the fuck not?
Sure, and absolutely. It's got one life.
Everyone goes there and then leaves and goes, oh my God, I wish this was my life, all the time. We don't need to, but that you can be savvy about it. You can. I've got a dear friend of mine. She's just such a wild woman. She's going to get published soon, I know it, and she'll be doing incredible things, but she has a huge block in going, why can't I just get someone else to do this for me? I just don't do the marketing stuff, or I don't know how to sell myself, or I don't know how to turn this into money and blah, 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 blah. And neither do I, and neither does anyone.
No.
You apply the same approach that you do to creating your art or expressing yourself or having fun, just to bring that spirit to, well, how do I fucking sell this thing? Or who are the pockets of people that might, invest in this? Or how could I learn in a joyful way and this alive way these skills that maybe I thought are outside my wheelhouse? Because I'll tell you, there is a lot of money in the world.
Yeah,
and
isn't
a lot of people are getting it, and I think that people like us deserve it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I'd agree with that. Some organised or movements, I'll call it a movement, have talked about the fair distribution of wealth. But anyway, we won't go.
Yeah, I'm into all of that too.
Don't get me started on that rant.
Well, it's just it's the reality of what we're in though right now. Because when I was a full-time user, when I came back from overseas, I had $1,000 to my name. And then, I was with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And I finally took a bit of a job. I was working as a community manager at a co-working space. So that's where I got my first access to businesses and like, oh, wow, this is what you guys do. Granted, it was in a funky warehouse in Richmond. I never wore shoes. We played a lot of table tennis. It was all that kind of cool hipster stuff. But it was like, oh, this is what people in business do. So I had this access to this thing, right? And had no money, and then we got pregnant. And I was stressed. I put on 10 kilos. My face exploded into this weird red kind of acne out of nowhere. And I was 34. It was like, what is going on? It was just stress, anxiety. How the hell am I going to do this? And man, you've got to, there are ways. What I want your listeners to know is you have skills. Like what you're doing right now, and the courage to live a principled life, the courage to live a life where you say, oh, this is the world I want to live in, so I'm going to live it. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to sell myself out and wish. I'm actually going to live it. And that comes with some consequences, or it comes with plenty of challenges. I'm going to say it to you, Harley, but also to everyone listening. You are worthy of never worrying about a bill coming in. And that doesn't mean that you I'm not saying like manifest your dreams, but you are such a savvy guy. Like, look at what you've done. You're creating so much awesome stuff. You can apply these skills 1 or 2 degrees left or right of where you're currently working with the current kind of market or audience or whatever. And there'll be some kind of hurdle or challenge that is not the expected one, which will probably be more like, oh, what does it mean about who I am if I do what I do here instead of there? So for me, instead of doing music in pubs and nightclubs and festivals, what if I did it midweek in a conference full of business people? Ooh, what does that mean? Ooh, my identity, rah, rah, rah. But then lo and behold, I can actually now start to make a living. I can buy a house. I can do all these things. And I haven't changed who I am. In a lot of ways, I've finally allowed the fullest expression of who I am because I wasn't caught up in the baggage of trying to be cool in the music industry. Now, I'm not saying that you are at all trying to be cool in whatever industry you're in, but it took for me just moving a little to the left or the right and going, well, it kind of took me being rock bottom, having no money and being pregnant to go, well, I need to find another way, but I'm not going to give up on this stuff. In fact, I believe so strongly in this stuff, I want to give it to other people. In fact, I'm going to give it to the people that it looks like they need it most. And if I can just figure out a way of helping them see, or more importantly, feel that the thing that they're missing is the thing that I never lost, then now we start to open a conversation around value where they're like, I want that thing you've got. And for a long time, it was like, I don't know how to articulate it. I don't kind of know how to give it to you. But over time, I learned, I know what that thing is. And I know how to give it to you in a way that you will understand it, get it, adopt it, and start to see results. And then I feel like I want to inspire people
Oh, mate, I feel like there's no fear of that. There's no fear of that.
It's such a gift to be here with you, man. Like, and I want to shout out to Benny Wellington, you beautiful man. I know he's in the room.
Yeah.
He typifies what we're talking about here. We met on LinkedIn of all places, like the most sterile, kind of self-absorbed. Yeah, you know, like who knew? Like I was doing music festivals and rock and roll, and Benny's just this radical dude, and we both ended up on LinkedIn, and it was like he's wearing funky shirts. I don't even think he wore a shirt half the time he was on LinkedIn,
Right.
which
What
was
a
just
road
cool.
dog on LinkedIn.
It's just cool as. And then he's off. I know he was doing some farming, regenerative farming, and now he's up there with you. Like, it's so radical. But put him, this awesome radical dude that we, you know and live with, and you are too, Harley, in a different environment, and everyone goes, "Oh my God, how do I get some of what you've got?"
Sure.
I used to have that. I've forgotten that. I've lost that. I've never felt that, and I want to feel it. Can you help me feel that thing that you've got? And I feel like what we can give them is our connection to that sacredness we talked about at the start. The real value that we can give others is that we never gave up our connection to the planet, to culture, to creativity, to art, to magic, to beauty, to love. And they've lost it, or they've diluted it, or they've reduced it, and they need to find their way back to it. And that, in this weird current climate that we're in, that, you know, there's an economic value placed on everything, we can now place an economic value on that and say, you know what, I can bring you back to the promised land, my friend, but it's going to cost you more than a story.
Yeah. What a great note to end on.
Yeah.
Truly, man. I could talk in this space all day long. I know you got things to do. I've got to take my shoes off and go and stand on the earth.
Of course you do.
Get a little bit woo woo. Really,
best, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I like these other worlds need you. They need everyone in the Woodford community. Half the people that go to Woodford live in these worlds. And this is their way to return to themselves. They know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. But they need the fully self-expressed, the ones that still live on the edge. They need those magical souls to walk into those big grey buildings and say, "How you doing? Who wants to hang out today?" Yeah. And by the way, it's going to cost you. And they'll be like, send me an invoice. Let's do it. I
think you'll find my rates very reasonable.
No, put them up, triple them, because they only pay for what they value. And if this is you know, I know we were in a nice place to wrap, but now, you know, I've ruined that.
Yeah, we'll just cut this out. Talk all you want.
This is, you know, it ties back to, we need to remind each other how beautiful we are, how powerful we are. And yes, we're busking, and yes, we do things for a story, but it's worth so much more. And if we can empower one another and stick together, we can start putting a price tag on the magic that we bring to the world, and collectively lift that frame, so that I'm not taking anything away from, hey, a CEO or an AFL footballer or who else that's getting paid.
The garbage collector.
Whoever's
doesn't get
making
paid that much.
Yeah, whoever's making big coin, I'm not taking anything away from what they're doing. I just think that anyone doing what we're doing is worthy of, and it's vital, and it deserves to be. Financially. I don't even know a word. What are you reimbursed or something?
Sure.
Trying to sound important. I mean, corporate.
I think the fact that both of us couldn't figure that out might be a seed of the problem. But yeah. Well,
they need it, man. They're crying out for it. This is what, if I can leave anyone with anything, the people that they're pulling a lot of levers. They've got deep pockets, you know, or they know people that do. They are crying out for it, and they don't even know how to ask for it. And so it's up to us now to stick together and to be bold and brave, and to bring all this beautiful stuff right to their doorstep, because why not?
Well, look, it's been a pleasure to meet you via Zoom, but let's make some time during this festival, and we'll sit down, hang out, have a beer or whatever trips your trigger, and
let's have
talk
all of
more.
It. Yeah, you're the best.
Good on you, Mykel. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Well, I'm I'm fired up. I'm ready. I'm going to take over the world. If that did it for you, get out there, get amongst it, find community, share ideas, offer help for things that you know how to do, and ask for help for things that you don't, is what I took from that. MykelDixon.com is where you can find more of that guy. I've enjoyed it. I think you can tell by my energy. Hey, you should definitely subscribe. You should definitely like it. Give it 5 stars and become a Woodfordia citizen. It's a great way to get heaps of benefits associated with this place, including extra citizen-only episodes of this Radio Woodfordia. This episode was produced by Woodfordia and music by the East Pointers. Thanks for your sounds.